To begin this contact roll workshop, we're going to break down probably the most popular contact roll skill there is, which is a basic chest roll. With any roll that you do, there's 3 important basic points to be considered. For any roll, you have the release, you have the pathway of the hoop and the points of contact on your body, and then you have the catch. So if you have a really good release, but you don't have good contact on your body, then it's technically a toss, usually. That's when you get the bouncy rolls. And if you don't have a good catch, then you can't transition into something after it because you have to go chase after your hoop and pick it up. So by working on each of these things individually, one at a time, I think it's really helpful. So let's talk about the release of a chest roll. There's a few different ways to do this. The one that I really like is holding the hoop at your side, thumb up, and let's start by just cranking it up and down, kind of warming up our wrist with this cranking action that's going to send the hoop across your point of contact. So once you've done that a couple times, let's talk about the posture that you need to do with your body to have a good chest roll. You can just put the hoop down or balance it against your body. Let's open up our arms. You're going to engage your core so that you can safely lean back a little bit and create this long line from fingertip to fingertip. And you want to be leaning back far enough that you can look at one hand, look forward and see the center of your chest, and look back and see your other hand. If you're not leaning far enough back, it's going to bonk you in the head. So that's something to be considered. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on that crank. We're going to send it down the pathway, and let's not even think about catching it because that's too much to think about at once. So all you're thinking about is getting as much contact as possible. And let me give you one tip before you do this. The contact that matters the most, I think, is the first contact. So if you get really clean contact on that first forearm after you release the hoop, chances are it's going to make it all the way across or a lot farther than if you're just focusing on getting it to the end. So let me show you what I mean by that. If I don't think about the forearm, I might do something like bend my elbow. It hits the chest first, and then it bounces, and then it doesn't even get to my hand, or it doesn't get good contact. So let me just reiterate that. You start with the crank. You set up in your posture, leaning back with an engaged core to protect your low back. I'm going to release it when I crank upward and just focus on getting as much contact on your first forearm as possible and let the hoop fly across. Hopefully it doesn't fly into like your furniture or something. You know, if you need to catch it, fine. But I recommend just focusing on that release and on the contact. So go ahead and give it a few tries. Crank it, lean back, and then get as much contact as you possibly can on your forearm. And chances are, if you get really good contact on your forearm, it'll get great contact the whole way. So just do that a few times on your own. Crank it, lean back, release, and see what happens. And if you're an experienced roll person, try it on your non-dominant side. So try cranking with your other hand. Warm up those wrist muscles. Lean back, and then focus on the contact with that forearm. And it might be a little jankier than the first one. That's okay. Go ahead and try. How's it going? I'm going to peep at my Zoomer screens. It's harder when you're being watched, isn't it? Sorry, guys. I just looked and everyone dropped simultaneously. It's like black magic, I swear. I'm going to look at my Facebook Live people. How's it going? Practicing your rolls at home? And so if you're still struggling to get it all the way across, just stop trying to get it all the way across. Just focus on that forearm and getting as much juicy contact on your forearm as possible. You may also need to lean back a little farther and maybe relax your shoulders. If you're really tense and nervous when you're doing this move, which you might be because you're throwing a hoop at your face, you tend to scrunch up your shoulders. And then that's going to create some more bumps along the way for your hoop to bump over. So by leaning back and then also releasing the shoulders and dropping the shoulders a little bit, maybe raising your hands, especially your releasing hand, a little bit higher so it has a ramp to go downward on that first point of contact, that might help you. If you just don't have enough power in your crank, something else you can do, a different type of release, is to kind of start at your side and swing into it. So generating the momentum from a swing, you can still crank at the very end of the swing and then open your hand, get that juicy contact. So to review, so far for the releases, we have the crank, which looks like that, and we have the swing and open the hand. So that's the release. That's the point of contact for a chest roll. Let's talk about the catch really quick. Now that we've focused on just the release and getting as much contact as possible, you probably want to catch it so that you don't throw it across your room, and so you can transition into the next skill. I'm going to come a little closer to the camera for this because this is something that's a little harder to see. So one way to catch it with doing a chest roll is to mirror what your releasing hand is doing. So I had my hand like this when I'm doing the crank, and it rolls between my thumb and pointer and then hits my forearm. You want to do the opposite of that for this variation. So it rolls down the forearm, you have your hand open, ready to receive the hoop, and it rolls between that thumb and pointer. So I'll show you what this one looks like. I have my hand open, ready to receive, and I'm going to track it with my eyes. I'm going to watch it go across because it's a lot harder to catch when you're not looking at it. You wouldn't learn to catch a ball without looking at it. So same thing. Go ahead and get your crank, send it across, watch it go across, and then catch it between the thumb and pointer on the other side. And if you can do that one, this is a great one to work both directions as a circuit. Now that it's in that hand, you're ready to crank. Send it across to that open hand. You're here, and then you can crank and do it both directions. It just feels so satisfying when it goes from palm to palm like this, from that little skin between your thumb and pointer to the other one. Oh, it's just great. And then one more type of release for this basic variation of a chest roll would be from spinning the hoop inward towards the center line of the body in the releasing hand. And then what I do is I'm going to swing down when the hoop starts to spin downward, and I'm going to follow through and open my palm. So here's what it looks like. Swing, open, and catch. Swing, open, and catch. This is a very circus style start. Go ahead, give that one a shot, or if you want to just keep working on whatever variation you're like getting good progress with, you can always just catch everything on the recording. We're going to move pretty fast with this workshop so we can get to as much content as possible. So one more type of catch for this roll. If you're having trouble catching between that thumb and pointer, an easier one is actually to hold your palm upward. And then what happens is the outside rim of the hoop rolls on the palm. I'm going to try to show you in slow motion. It rolls on the palm, and then when it rolls on the palm, I grab it, and I get right into sort of a weave, or at least half a weave, to slice it. I'll try to show you from this direction. I have my palm open. It still does roll between that thumb and pointer, but now it's just on a different part of the arm and a different part of the palm. It gets to the hand, you grab it, and then you immediately start to weave in the wall plane. So it's going to weave behind you as soon as you catch it. The first slice, it drops behind you. And then maybe you'll just keep going with the weave, or you can follow through and come down to the front. Or maybe from this variation, you get right into another arm roll combo that we're about to learn. So there we have it. Any questions so far on the release, the posture and point of contact, or the catch of a basic chest roll variation? Look into the chats. You guys ready for more? All right, let's move on to the first arm roll. So a roll along a single arm. So just now we were working in what's known as the wall plane, which is this flat surface in front of us or behind us. So it's mostly left and right with up and down direction. Now we're going to start to do rolls that go forward and back in what's known as the wheel plane, the forward and back direction. The first one starts from a basic weave. So everyone go ahead and practice your weave. Hold the hoop palm up. Let the thumb lead the way until it gets in front of you. Bend your elbow. Slice across the body in the wheel plane. And then slice on the same side as the arm. So if you've never done a weave before, this is a forward weave. It's kind of like an infinity in front of you or an X. But you do want to try to keep it in that plane as much as possible. You don't want to be like this. You want to act as if you're walking down a narrow hallway and you don't want to hit the walls on either side. This is how we generate the momentum for this first weave. So everyone, go ahead and just watch me for this part. Let me just demonstrate. This is the most basic forward roll in the wheel plane. Here's what it looks like. So what's happening here is I'm weaving. When I go downward across my body, I create my shelf, which is just a straight arm right in front of me. The end of my shelf has the same type of catching hand that we did with the chest roll variation. Open, ready to receive the hoop between the thumb and pointer finger, and then grip it as soon as it hits the palm. So set up your hand, set up that open spot, and then let's talk about the point of contact on the release. When I'm weaving, I create that shelf, and because I practiced this for years, I can go all the way back to my shoulder and roll it all on the entire length of the arm. But if you're just beginning, you can release it closer to the elbow or even the forearm, and maybe you'll only get a few inches of contact, but it's better to get some contact than none. So I'm weaving, I create my shelf, the back of my wrist that's holding the hoop hits my arm wherever I'm gonna release. I follow through until the hoop hits the top of the arm, and that's when I open the hand and just pray that it gets from point A to point B. This is one that's hard to do really slow. You kind of have to just do it with momentum. So go ahead and weave. Create your shelf, swing under, hit the arm. Oop, it hit my ceiling. Let go, roll across, and catch in the other hand. If you need to watch again, I'll go ahead and demonstrate that as slowly as possible. Weaving. On the downswing, I create the shelf. Back of my hand hits the arm wherever I'm going to release. I let it keep going using my wrist mobility to go as far as I can go before letting go. And then I let it roll from that point to the open hand. If you nailed it, go ahead and grab the hoop with your other hand, weave with the other hand, and create your shelf with the other hand. So work on the other side. This is going to be useful in a second when we do our first continuous roll. I'll give you a couple minutes to digest that. Ooh, great job, Sydney. I saw that. Haha, you didn't even know I was watching. Claudia, can you do me a favor? This might be a tip for you if you're struggling with this one. So when I release, I'm just going to show you as if I'm doing it. I try to let the back of my hand go just a little high. So I'm not necessarily releasing with my hand right here. I use my wrist mobility to go just a little farther. This is also shoulder mobility because you're quite twisted up. But you want the hoop to be on top of the shelf when you release. So it's the difference between releasing here and then getting that little extra to let go with it in the appropriate spot. Something else that might help actually is the way that you're gripping the hoop while you weave. If I grip the hoop with this like tight death grip, then that means I need to go really far to let go. Where if I'm only holding it in my 4 fingers and creating a hook, then I have the entire length of my hand and I can release the hoop a little higher up so it has that contact with the top of the shelf. Does that make sense? So try holding it with your 4 fingers. See if you can release it. That looks better. That looked good, Claudia. And you can always make sound effects. When I make sound effects while doing my rolls, like, it just goes better. I don't know what it is. It's like some weird somatic hack. Oh no! Oh my God, someone just hit their camera. Are you okay? Is your camera okay? A little comic relief. All right, so let's move on. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce a concept here of continuous arm rolls. An amazing thing about arm rolls is that you can create all these combos, and a lot of them can be done, almost all of them can be done both directions, which means that you can do them continuously. So this one, you need to start a little different to do it continuously. You have to hold the hoop in front of you in that wheel plane, thumb up, straight arm. Just go ahead and watch my screen this first time. I'm going to open the hand, swing across the body, and then create that point of contact like this. Swing, release. I hold the hoop thumb up, I open the hand, swing. The back of my hand hits the arm, and then kind of like throwing a football, I follow through with my fingers, point forward the way you want the hoop to go. If I do this and I point back, the hoop's going to go back. So again, you hold it thumb up. Maybe hold it a little higher if you're not getting enough momentum, because then when you drop it, you get more momentum. Create your shelf on the other side. Swing, and the back of your hand hits the elbow, the forearm, or behind the elbow if you want to get more contact. And you send it to that open receiving hand. You might see where this is going. Now you have it thumb up on the other side. You can create your shelf. Go ahead and swing it, send it down the other arm. Then your thumb up, ready to do it on the first side again. And then eventually it looks like this. Completely continuous with no stops. Just a matter of catching, swinging, releasing, catching, swinging, releasing. But when you're first learning it, I recommend breaking it down into those segments. Catching it, creating your shelf, swinging, and the back of the hand hits the arm, fingers follow through forward, create your other shelf, swing, follow through, catch, and repeat. Continuous forward arm roll. And this is one that I did not learn in a day, let me tell you that. It probably took a few months for it to really click. So that's why it's great that you'll have the recording to just, work at your own speed with this. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to our Facebook friends and turn off the Facebook Live. So if you've enjoyed this, then comment and let me know. If you'd like the full recording, just give me a comment and I can email it to you. Thanks for tuning in. All right, Zoomers, we're all alone, finally. I'll go ahead and just share that. All right. How's it going with the continuous roll? Is it tricky? I'm going to just watch your screens. Keep going. Claudia's killing it. Kristen, that's great contact. Ooh, good job, Teresa. You have great contact as well. Yep, that's the pathway, Bailey. You got it. All right, you guys are killing it. So let's let that one rest a little bit, but let's do it with a twist. So we're going to start to think about another concept that applies to a lot of different types of roles, which is a reversal. So taking a role and doing it in a mirror, retrograde, just reversing it, like you hit the rewind button. So I'll show you what I mean by that. For instance, if I do my regular weave, the first weave that we did, send it to the hand, I can go ahead and use my crank in this posture, keep my hand where it was when I released it, and roll it from that hand back to the hand that released it initially, and then I have to do a reverse weave leading with my pinky outward. So let's learn this variation. Start with your weave, create your shelf, send it down to the hand, and keep your releasing hand right where it was, nice and open. Now that that hand's nice and open, let's all meet here. So you sent it down to the hand, you release it, and your releasing hand stays under the arm, wherever it is, at the forearm, elbow, whatever. Make sure the hand's nice and open. See if you can now crank the hoop and send it up the forearm to that open receiving hand. Catch it and meet me here. I'll give you a chance to do a couple tries. If you can meet me here, then you just let the pinky slice and lead the way into a reverse weave right in front of you. You could keep weaving that way, or you could just keep it up there. So all together, it's weave, send down the hand, to send it back to the first hand, weave out. Shoop, de hoop. Oh, I see a message in the chat. Is that a question? Let's see. Can you do it again? It froze for me. Absolutely. Forward weave. Create your shelf, send it down. And then we, as Missy Elliott says, put that thing back, flip it, and reverse it. And you crank it, send it back to the hand, lead with the pinky, weave out. So it's literally just a reversal of that first basic arm variation we learned. It's going to help you with that crank and all of your other chest rolls too. Sometimes I like to even send it down to the hand, and then I'll actually like hit the thigh or hit the ground to send it back. Like I'll let that bounce be the momentum to send it back, and that's pretty fun too. So if you're just working on that, fine. If you have nailed it on your first side, I recommend trying it on your other side, because we do things on both sides in every direction in my class. So you send it down the next shelf, your other arm. You keep that hand tucked. You use your crank to send it back to the hand underneath, and then reverse weave out, leading with the pinky. Practice that pathway on the other side if you haven't. Alrighty, so I'm going to now demonstrate a really tricky trick that we're not going to spend time practicing today because you probably won't get it right away, and I'd rather spend time introducing more content. But then on the replay, you can come back and like look to this one once you've worked on this on both sides. So this is what I'm going to do. Remember that forward continuous roll we did? Well, guess what, folks? You can reverse it and send it backwards and do the same thing in reverse. Oh, I hit my ceiling, darn it. Let me show you again. So this is forward, and this is reverse. So the thing to note about this one is you have a really awkward release grip. Because when I roll it back and catch, I'm now doing that reverse weave, which means my pinky is up instead of my thumb being up, and that's super weird. So what you really have to do is you have to just swing with confidence, create that shelf, and roll on the awkward back side of your arm, where we'd never roll the hoop. So I guess the best way to get used to that is probably just to have the hoop like you just did a weave, or maybe even start from that shelf, and then swing with the pinky lead, open the hand, and see if you can get just a little contact on that awkward part of your bone. From there, as soon as you release, you have to take your hand that was just your shelf. When you swing, you tuck it under your arm so that you can catch it under the arm, palm up. I catch the outside rim. I'll show you from this side, actually. Swing, tuck, catch. I caught it palm up so that I can swing. Now the pinky's up on this side. Roll, tuck, and catch. And it is just so awkward. It's still awkward even though I've been doing it for 6 years. That's just what it is. But if you have any in-depth questions about that one at a future time, you can always message me and I'll help you break it down a little more. So let's learn our first combo, shall we? Here's the combo we're going to learn. So it starts with a reverse roll. I catch it at the armpit or under the arm. Now you need to keep the hoop where it is and turn your body 180 degrees. So don't fold the hoop. The hoop stays exactly where it is, and you move around the hoop. And you keep your arm tucked, the arm that you caught with, you keep tucked, and your shelf just moves from one end. It does a 180. So now it's up against the hoop. Once you're here, you open the hand to spin it forward to generate the momentum to send it down the arm. And then ideally you catch it. How about I show you that in real time again, and then I'll break it down again. This is probably one that's hard to learn through Zoom. So you might need to just peep at your screen. Starts with a reverse roll that I catch under the arm. Once I catch it, I let it go into the wall plane, and I keep it there. My arm is still extended. I'm going to just turn 180 degrees, and now my shelf arm is going to go up against the hoop. So the same arm that I rolled it up for the first half is the arm that I roll it down for the second half. So it's rolling up and down the same shelf. Remember that. Once you're here, you open the hand to spin it forward and send it down to the hand. You open your hand that's holding the hoop. Here's what it looks like in real time. Send it, grab it, turn, and release it. From the other side, it would look like this. So this is a wall plane roll, you know. Well, the hoop is moving in a single plane, let's say that. But what happens is your body is facing this way for the first half, so technically it's your wheel plane. And then you do a 180 and you're sending it down your wheel plane the other way. But it stays within one plane, if that helps. So you're folding your body around the hoop. The hoop is never folding. Let me see if anyone's getting it or almost there. Just looking at the view. That's it, Claudia. You got it. So just keep doing it like that, and then eventually you don't even have to pause in between. You just like follow the momentum, and the hoop does one rotation around your hand. and you just release it with no grip needed. And it feels super slick, but that was great contact, great pathway. Let's see. Okay, Sydney, send it. Oh, I was going to guide you through. Yep. Send it back to the hand. Reversal. Nope. Reversal. Roll it from the wrist up to the hand that's tucked underneath. Almost. It stays on that side, so it'll be on your left side. It doesn't cross the chest. And then you turn to face it and send it down the same arm. Yep. Send it to the hand. Send it back to the hand that's tucked. Oh, you almost did something even cooler. You almost did like a toss. Well, keep working on it. I'm going to stop watching it because it makes it harder. So that's combo number one. A reverse roll to the hand. Turn towards the hoop, your shelf up against the hoop. Open the hand, roll it forward, send it down the same arm that you rolled it up. 1, 2, 3. I have another variation that's kind of similar to this that might be a little bit easier. Do you guys want to try that? It looks really cool too. Here's what this one looks like. This time I catch it on top of the arm instead of under, which might make it a little demystified. I catch it, I do a little isolation, and then I swing and send it. Looks great, and it's probably a little bit easier than that variation we just did, so maybe I should have started with that one. My bad. So for this one, pick which hand you're going to start in and hold it in the palm, thumb up, ready to do your crank. This time, instead of catching under, catch it on top and let that inner rim come to your hand right around your shoulder, so you're here. So meet me here. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to turn away from the hoop so the hoop is behind me, and I'm going to let my hand come up and do just the top of the isolation, just the rainbow over the head. I create my shelf in the other side, so we just went up the wheel plane, now we're going to go down the wheel plane. Create your shelf, and then you just do a weave and send it down that arm. So if you need to start over and follow along with me step by step, I'm going to do it again. I'm doing it in my right arm to start. I'm going to roll it up, catch it with my left hand right at the right shoulder. So it's just rolling up the arm, catch it at the inner rim. I'm going to turn to my left, let my hand that's holding the hoop isolate just the top half. And then the right arm, the arm that I rolled it up initially, I'm going to take to the other side so that I can weave the hoop across the body, release it, and roll it down to the hand. I'll show you on this side now. So I'm doing it down the same arm, just facing the other way. I roll it up. I face away from the hoop and do a little isolation of the top. My shelf arm, I swing to the other side, and I do my weave to send it down that same arm. All together with no talking, it looks like this. You'll notice there I kind of had my shelf arm go over. It can go over or under, it doesn't matter. So that was over, this is under. Doesn't matter as long as it gets to that spot ready to roll. Let me see you try that one. Ooh, here's a tip that might help to see up close and personal. The catch. The catch, the catch, the catch. I see a lot of you trying to catch the outside rim thumb down, or like catch it really far away from where you're supposed to be. My bad, I should have made that more clear. I'm catching it right around the shoulder, and I'm catching it at the inner rim really close to my body. So it rolls up, and I catch it right here. And then you can pause here, you know? You can work on just that. You can work on just catching it and rolling it back and forth on that pathway to get used to catching it that way. But in general, start with your hand really close to your shoulder. Instead of rolling it like this and then like finding it, it's much easier if your hand just anticipates that it's going to go to your shoulder and you let it come right to the shoulder to then turn it away and isolate the top, send it down the other side. Hopefully that helps. Give it a few more tries and then we'll move on. Ooh, the next one's badass. Weave it, Teresa. Weave it. Yes. That was it. The only thing that you could tweak is when you isolate the hoop, try to keep the hoop in that plane. You were folding it a little bit, so try to like isolate it as if we're doing a barrel roll turn. Your hands go to 12 o'clock when you're at that 180 position. And then on the other side, you're ready to weave. Feel free to slow that down as much as you need to, and think about that hoop as if it's up against a wall and it can't fold at all. All right, why don't we learn one more super badass variation in this forward roll posture, and then we'll move on to the next posture and start to link more combos together. So this one, I call the ninja toss. Here's what it looks like. It's a reverse roll up to the shoulder. I catch it just like we did for that one. And then I toss it back to the hand. I'll do that again because if you blink, you'll miss it, or if you have any lag at all on your screen. One more time up close. So what happens is it gets to this point. My arm is straight. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my shelf arm so that my palm is outward, thumb down, because we're going to catch it that way. The hand that's holding the hoop, I let it do a spin backwards on the hand, and then I follow through to send it forward. So you might want to try this without even thinking about the catch too much. See if you can spin and roll it back, and then point your fingers and follow through forward the way you want it to go, like this. Because if you point down, it's going to go down. If you point back, it's probably going to go back. So you want to spin backwards in that plane and just send it forward in a straight pathway. So it's going to have a little bit of a back spin, actually. It gets here. I send it forward, and it's spinning backwards. See if you can see that. Actually, let me grab a hoop with a spiral tape. Oh, I don't have any spiral tape ones nearby, but this one has a little tape on it, so you might be able to see. I don't know if you can see that at all. You might be able to see that it's spinning backwards. Can you see it? So that backwards spin makes it float. Notice the little subtle float that's happening there. That gives you a little more time to react and catch the hoop. That little backwards spin. See if you can make it do a backwards spin from that. Catch it, spin it backwards, release, and see if you can make it spin backwards in the air and float. So it's forward and maybe slightly up to just give it that little extra floatiness. Now that you've just sent it down in a straight pathway, let's talk about the catch. Gets to the hand, I rotate that palm out, thumb down, and then you can catch this a couple ways. You can either catch right away and catch that outside rim. That wasn't a very good demo. You can catch that outside rim, but then you don't really get any air time, so it's not as impressive of a toss. What I recommend is letting it go a little farther and catching it at the inner rim on the second side of the hoop. So like this was the first point of contact you could have caught, but then it only goes from here to here, and it's more like passing the hoop. If you really want that toss and you want to look like a badass, send it down, catch the inner rim. So let it float a little farther and catch that point. And now you're holding it, thumb down. What can you do from here, folks? That's right, you can weave it and do a forward roll on the other side. So it gets you really set up to do another arm roll combo. Let me see you try it. Sydney, this is your trick. You just nailed it. And it's funny because I think you accidentally did this one trying the other one, so your body just must really like that variation. It just feels so good. Yep, Claudia, that was beautiful. Teresa, do you have a lighter hoop to try this with? Maybe a smaller hoop would be easier for that one. Oh yeah, that guy. Hey Bailey, can I give you a tip? Try not folding the hoop. I just saw you go here and then like twist it. Keep it in the same plane. So it gets here. Let it spin back, open the hand to go forward. So you're not really weaving it. You're just opening the hand and shooting it forward by letting go and letting it do a little backspin in the air. All right. You guys ready for more? We're doing pretty good on time. I didn't really have a set end time for this. I wanted to keep it close-ish to an hour, but we might go to more like an hour and 15. Is that okay with you guys? If you can't stick around, also I'll send you the recap after. But normally I used to teach this workshop in a 3-hour block, and we would spend 3 whole hours working on rolls. So condensing it into 60 to 75 minutes is challenging, but hopefully you guys are getting a good value today. Let's talk about a new plane. So we're actually going to go back to the first plane we worked on for those chest rolls. We're back in the wall plane. But we're going to introduce a new character here, which is the compact mirror hand. So if you've never held a compact mirror before, it's this little thing you open up and you fix your whatever. So it's like a little folded hand, and you hold this compact mirror close to your shoulder on the same side that the arm is on, as if you're looking over your shoulder to actually check out the person behind you with the mirror. This is important to think of it as a mirror because you wouldn't face your palm away from you for this. You're always going to face towards you. And then what the hoop is going to do is it's going to roll between the compact mirror and between your shoulder. And this is what it looks like. I roll it just like I did with the chest roll to the compact mirror. And then I can go ahead and weave it or do a whole other number of things. So let's give it a try. Set up your compact mirror hand. Other hand is holding the hoop, thumb up in the wall plane. We're going to do our crank or our swing and release. And see if you can roll from that releasing hand to the compact mirror hand. And then this is what it'll look like when you catch it. In this awkward position, like with the hoop above your head, holding it close to your shoulder. This is what we're going for. So meet me here. And then once you're here, let your thumb lead the way. Weave it behind you and in front. And then you could either keep the weave going, or in a second, we'll also use this to then lead into another roll. contact mirror hand, thumb leads the way to weave and slice out of it. How does this look? Oh yeah, that's so much more visible. I should have used this hoop the whole time. Oh well. How's it going? How do you like the contact mirror? Let's see. Yep, Sydney, you nailed it. I always just look at you when you nail it, I guess. So. Yep. Kristen, good job. I just saw you transition to the weave. Feel free to take your time with it. You know, if you need to pause for a second when you catch it and then think about where you're going to take the hoop. Nothing wrong with that in the beginning. Oh, Bailey nailed it. Good job. I think Teresa nailed it too. I didn't see. Okay, so Teresa, I just saw you do the next thing we're going to do, so why don't we move on? You could use this compact mirror hand to do a reversal. Here's what that looks like. I send it to the compact mirror, I pinch it, and I send it back from whence it came, catch it either between the thumb and pointer or palm up. So it's just a send, a pinch. It's kind of like a lever there. And I like to really ease into the stop for this reversal. So instead of like ninja, like that, like just slapping it, I like to kind of receive it, slow down into a full stop, and then send it back at my leisure instead of just trying to like pinch it at the right spot and ninja it. I recommend doing it nice and slow. For the reversal, you might also catch it slightly differently. Instead of the compact mirror, you might sort of catch it along your palm and the underside of your forearm and move your hand sort of like this, like a lever. I'll show you what I mean by that. The inner rim is going to come to that spot. So my palm is on the inner rim, and I'm moving my arm like a lever to then send it across. So it's more like this as opposed to just pinching with that compact mirror hand. Either one works. Either one does the job. I like the compact mirror hand because it's so great for transitions. But especially if you're doing this one continuously like this, the lever hand kind of, it's a little more intuitive, I guess, where if I'm pinching it, it's a little bit like you can't mess up or else the hoop is going to fold forward. There's more points of contact with this hand on both the forearm and the hand. So catching it and reversing it as much as you want this way is actually a lot easier. If you want to try out that reversal combo, if you feel like you're ready to move on from the first one, try catching it either way. So with this palm and forearm lever catch or with the compact mirror, see if you can send it to the other compact mirror or lever hand and just do this little reversal dance of sending it back and forth. And then pick a side, send it down. Maybe it wasn't your first side. So that could look like this. Send it, reverse it, and send it. Super fun. Send it, reverse it, and send it. Or reverse it as long as you want. Pick a side. Okay, folks, I'm going to show you one more thing with this compact mirror concept, and then we'll move on to a couple more, and then we'll have a little time for combo play and feedback and Q&A. So with this compact mirror hand, I already kind of foreshadowed this, that you can use it to get into a forward arm roll from a weave. So when you catch it, you know how we did our weave with the thumb leading? You can go ahead and create a shelf across the body or turn your body so that it's in front of you and send it down that arm. Yet another combo. So you do your compact mirror, you catch it, and then you choose if you want to keep your body where it is and just move your shelf across the body and weave it there and send it. Or you can actually physically turn your body once you weave it and send it more forward to the hand. I'll just keep doing that continuously if you need to watch, or you can work on it now. Shoop, shoop, shoop. That's with the turn. Shoop, shoop. This is with no turn, just in the wall plane. One of the best, simplest, but very practical transition kind of roll combos. And I think one of the first ones I learned from watching Gail O'Brien back in the day. Combos on combos on combos. I think you guys are getting that one. Hey, Claudia. Once you send it down the arm, you need to take your arm and move it to the other side. I think I just saw you like send it here and then try to do a weave with the arm in the same spot, which, I mean, hey, you just made up your own combo. But for this combo that we're learning, take the arm from over here, either swing it or actually physically move your body to take it over here. Sort of like this one that we did, the isolation roll. It's a lot like that one where you roll it up one arm and then you swing it 180 to roll it down the same arm. Only difference is where it's going. Okay, that's looking awesome, guys. Great job. Why don't we move on just so we can squeeze in a last few variations before we end. So next up, we're going to start to talk about something that's very scary, which is rolling the hoop behind the head. So more in the back roll, body roll category, and behind the back chest rolls, behind the head chest rolls. So the most basic of the basic one is just a regular back roll from arm to arm. Here's what it looks like. Again, notice that I'm watching it. I look at it when I release it, and I look at it when I catch it. Following it with your gaze is going to help a lot. I'll show you the posture from the side. I lean forward and open my arms out. I have a nice flat back, reaching my tailbone back, engaging my core, of course. And the biggest mistake that people make with their back rolls is they are here. So it's almost like it has to go up a ramp to even get it halfway across. That's a lot harder, and then you have these shoulders creating bumps along the way for your perfect smooth contact. So what you want to do is actually open your wings a little more than comfortable, you know, a little more than natural, so that it goes down the ramp and that you have a nice smooth sort of curve for it to follow. So come forward with a flat back, and then see if you can raise your hands just a few inches higher. So then what you can do is you hold your hoop thumb up. You can either do the crank or the swing. I actually really like the swing for this one. It takes a little faith, but the momentum is really useful. So to do the swing, you open your wings to that spot, you flatten your back and drop your shoulders, and you swing and release confidently. So you just snap into that position with the hands slightly higher than comfortable and hope for the best. Fling! Your hoops are free willy. That's just how this move is sometimes. Just like before, if you just focus on the contact and not the catch, it'll probably go better at first, and then you can start to focus on the catch. So I might just really focus on creating that perfect shelf, giving it a good swing, getting contact on my forearm and the center of my back, right across my shoulder blades. And then not even catch it and just let it roll right over the other end, but be like, yes, I got good contact. But if you do want to think about catching it, I might as well tell you. There's a few ways. You can either do what we did with the chest roll, which is imagine you did the crank one and roll it between the thumb and pointer and catch it between the thumb and pointer. If you externally rotate your shoulder on the receiving hand, then you can absolutely catch it there. But it's super hard to like aim for that. So I think with back rolls, you need to be a little more forgiving with yourself and just figure out where you can stick your arm in the hoop, period, and then just work with what you get until you can eventually clean up the contact immensely and build a lot of control. So another one that I do is more like my hand is behind the hoop. I let the hoop roll. I'm going to stop it and simulate slow-mo. So if you want to look at my hand, it rolls, my arm is behind the hoop, and then I just simply get my hand inside and catch it anywhere. So altogether in real time, that looks like this. I swing to release. My arm is behind, and I simply get the arm inside the hoop and then grip it and find a way to transition from there. That's probably your most reliable way to catch it in the beginning. And then once you've gotten more comfortable, like I said, you can catch it with more intention, right how you want it. Okay, we have one more-ish variations, probably one more, and then we're going to do a little more combo play. Let me show you this one. This is a behind the head roll that's more of an arm roll because it only rolls along a single arm. And you might have seen this in my clip I posted the other day. It's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. Here's what it looks like. So I'm going to show you this from behind so you can see what's going on with that catching hand. I rotate my palm upward and put it right against the back of my neck. So now, basically, it's taking that shelf from the hand to the shoulder, and it's extending that shelf. So now it's going to roll from the shoulder to my palm, and I catch the outside rim like this. Catch. Then I simply extend that arm, and if you want to do it on the other side, you just set up the other hand, palm up. See if you can roll it to that palm and extend the arm. You probably will not get this today. This is not a first day kind of move. Maybe you will, though. Anything's possible, but don't beat yourself up if you don't. Takes quite a bit of control with that release, with that crank. You either swing it or crank it. Send it to that palm. And use your gaze. Look at it when you're releasing it. So I look towards the direction. I set up my palm. I hope for the best. Hope it doesn't hit my head. Sorry if it hits your head. Extend the arm. Set up the other palm if you want to do the other side. It's a miracle I haven't hit the ceiling with that one. I'm going to peek at you. Ooh, Kristen, you got it. Good job. Try to resist the urge to bend that elbow, though. Focus on that contact with the forearm, just like with our chest rolls. If you bend the elbow, you're cheating. You're just passing it to the hand. Or if you bend the elbow, it'll toss. If you want good contact, you have to focus on contact with the forearm all the way to the catching hand. But, you know, a lot of a lot of roll variations, when you first learn them, they are tosses. And that's okay, too, because you learn the pathway of the hoop. fundamentally, the move is very similar, whether it's a roll or a toss, is going from point A to point B. And then with practice and time, you receive more contact, you feel the hoop on that point, on that pathway more, and it creates more of a roll. So if you're tossing a lot of your rolls, like this one, the first forward arm roll, when I first learned it, there was zero contact. It was just a toss. It looked like that, you know, a lot of air time. But eventually it turns into a roll if you just focus your intention on getting that contact. Ooh, Sydney, those look so dope! I like your full commitment to the extension of your arms. There are no bent elbows. I can't believe you guys are getting this on day one. Not fair. It took me longer. But I also didn't have a coach, so. All right. One more, because this one is a really important transition skill. This is the glue that holds a lot of different rolls together. And then I'll give you a few minutes to create your own combo, and then we'll part ways. So this one, it's almost, I sometimes call it the genie roll. Here, and it's also just a kind of forearm roll in the wall plane. Here's what it looks like. So it's a lot like that forward roll that we did, but now my forearms are going to remain in the wall plane right in front of me, kind of like a genie in a bottle. And I send it from the elbow to the hand. And then what I'm going to do to make this continuous is I'm going to take that hand I just released with, rotate it so it's on top, crank the hoop, send it down the other elbow to the other hand, rotate this hand on top, and I'm just going to keep on doing this one, both directions, like so. Let me slow that down a little bit. Make your shelf, weave and tuck under, send it to from the elbow to that open receiving hand, rotate on top, crank it, send it from the elbow to the hand. If you want to get a little dancey with it, I really like to lean while I do this one. So when I roll it, I'll lean that direction, set up my arm, lean the other direction as I roll it, and it just kind of accentuates it. It makes it look magical. This is a really good thing just to have in your muscle memory, because when you're doing all of these arm rolls, this will just send you from one type of roll right into another. Actually, let's talk about exactly how you can send this into another roll, because maybe this won't be obvious to you. When I send it to the hand, something I can do is lead with the pinky, kind of like in that really awkward reverse continuous variation we didn't spend time on. In the wall plane, I'm going to just slice, lean back, and try to do a chest roll with the pinky up. Slice and send. So your hand's in the super awkward position when you release. And then you can catch it in the compact mirror, in the lever hand, or you can send it all the way across for a full chest roll. So let me just show you what that looks like. I do my genie roll, get it to the hand. I'm going to swing in the wall plane, lean back, and just, you know, have faith that if I follow through, it's going to roll across. Genie roll to the hand, swing, lean back, roll across. Hand, pinky up for this awkward swing and release. Great. So now what I would love to do is we're going to take 3 minutes. And what all of you are going to do is you're going to take all of these little parts, all these little components that we covered, and I want to see if you can link together 2 types of body rolls and make up your own combo of rolls. So this is kind of like you taking the knowledge and then reviewing it and sending it back to me. not everyone's going to have to share their variation, but those of you who are open to it, I would love if you would, because I want to see your creativity come through. And this is like a deeper learning. When you can take each of these individual components and string them together, you've made it your own, and you have a deeper understanding of exactly what the technique is. So go ahead and work on your own for 2.5 more minutes. Come up with your own combo. Meanwhile, I'm just showing some combos for those who are catching the recording. Maybe you have no idea what you want to do for a combo. You can steal one of these. Maybe you take a combo that we already learned and you find a way to just add your own pizzazz, like moving through space while doing it. You know, these continuous forward rolls I love to do while walking forward or back, especially while doing it backwards, like moonwalking. It just feels really cool. About 1 more minute to brainstorm your variation, and then we'll share. About 20 more seconds, put any finishing touches on it. All right, so let's all come back. And move this down a little bit. Who would like to share their variation? Go, just raise your hand or unmute yourself. Don't be shy. Sydney raised her hand. Sydney, go ahead and unmute so that you can tell us what's going on.
I'm not too sure what's going on, but it's going.
Okay, great. Let's see it.
That.
Ooh.
Hey. I'm glad I'm always swearing.
That's okay. I think we're all adults here. Those look dope. See, you're like a success story of this workshop because you're really fluidly transitioning between all of these different skills. Great job, Sydney. Anyone else want to share a variation? Who's feeling up to it? Kristen? All right, you're up.
Okay, hopefully it doesn't fly all over the place.
If it does, just pick it up and try again.
Hold on. One more time.
Okay, at least. Great. Ooh, okay. So, man, what? So I just saw. It was like a forward roll, you reversed it, and then you tried to do the pinky lead.
Yeah.
Very nice. I saw what you're going for with that one. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, take a video and send it to me once you've spent more time with that one. I really like it.
Definitely.
All right, who else wants to share?
I can share.
Okay, show us, Celeste.
Hopefully you can see me.
Yep. Just reversals for days, and then send it down the arm, and then shoop-de-doo. And then you did every roll in the workshop. Damn, that was impressive that you did that many with no mess ups. That was awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Cindy's like, oh snap in the chat. Great job, Celeste. Have you been rolling for a while?
I took one of your workshops like 2 years ago, but it's been a long time since I like worked on roles
Oh
specifically.
my god, where?
It at Spinco, like at the
Oh, in
Moist,
Philly.
yeah, wrestling lounge.
That's right. Oh my god, that was such a fun one.
Such a fun class.
We did all the costume stuff too after with the character workshop. Good times.
Great.
Anyone else want to share a variation? Raise your hand. Teresa, your hand's totally up. I mean, you're practicing. Do you want to show one?
I will. I keep dropping it, but I will try.
Okay. Thank you for your courage.
See. That was it.
Nice. I like all the plane bending going on. Hopefully this workshop just added like, you know, some new vocab to your movement to work on since you're relatively new to the hoop tricks.
It's going to be really fun for transitions.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just a crowd pleaser. Like, not that you always need to hoop for other people, but like when you do this and a muggle sees you, they're like, how did you do that? Like, it's a very impressive kind of circus-y style of technique.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anyone else want to share? Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got a lot out of this workshop. I'm going to send anyone who wants to recap the recap, so if you would like it, just send me your email either in the chat here or on Facebook. I posted my Venmo and PayPal information in the group if you're able to donate. Every little bit helps. And what I'm going to do after I end this recording is also record a like bite-sized recap where I'm literally just going to demonstrate everything we learned so you can see it all in like 2 or 3 minutes. So if you don't want to watch the whole workshop, but you just want like to remember what we learned, I'm going to do that as well. So I'll send you that as well if you give me your email. So thank you for joining me. Please hydrate. Oh, actually, let's do a stretch. I highly recommend doing a counter stretch after spending a lot of time working on rolls. So actually, we're just going to do a forward fold. So go ahead and stand up. Take a deep breath in. Raise your arms above your head. Bend your knees slightly, melt forward with your chest leading the way as you come forward to a forward fold. And then we're going to keep our knees bent slightly, grab onto your elbows, and just let the weight hang. Elongate your low back. If you want, you can bounce on your knees or sway your head side to side. And keep breathing. Once you're adequately stretched out, let your head remain heavy and dangle. Let your arms dangle and try to roll up as slowly as possible, one vertebrae at a time, starting with the base of the spine, the low spine, then the mid spine, And then the head comes up last. And then let's just twist it out. Let your arms swing. Twist both directions. Come to the center. One hand goes to your side. Other hand goes above your head. Reach over the head. Make a C with your spine. Inhale. Look up at the ceiling. Let your chest rotate towards the ceiling. Exhale. Maybe let your hand on your leg glide a little lower. Reach a little farther. Stretch out the side body. Then inhale. Use your strong core to lift back up. Other hand goes up. Other hand goes down. Same thing on the other side. Reach over and across. Inhale, your chest rotates towards the ceiling. Exhale, maybe reach a little farther if you're up for it. And then use your strong core to lift back up. And just wiggle everything out. There, and on that note, now I feel better leaving you with your body taken care of, because I remember the first time I learned arm rolls and I obsessively drilled them for a few hours. My low back was killing me, so I highly recommend stretching after practicing this skill. So please drink some water. Thank you for joining me, and I will send you those recordings. Mwah. Much love, everyone.